Hello guys, welcome to another session. In this session we are going to look into virtual private cloud and we will understand that what actually virtual private cloud is and what are the components involved in designing the virtual private cloud. So let's jump into the discussion. So far we have seen EC2 instances, elastic block storage, security groups. These resources of AWS doesn't provide much control or say much completeness to design the infrastructure as we want, because it is belonging to a default VPC. If you closely look into our previous lab, then you will find that whenever we are creating any EC2 instances, then by default it is belonging to a default VPC. So you must be asking that, okay, I understand that there is no completeness, there is no much control. So, but what actually this virtual private cloud? Then in short, I can say that a virtual private cloud is a service offering from AWS which enables you to launch AWS resources into a virtual network which you have defined using subnet technique. The virtual network closely resembles a traditional network that you would operate in your own data center, with the benefits of using the scalable infrastructure of AWS. To understand virtual private cloud in a more better way, first we will look into what are the components which is involved to design the virtual private cloud. So let's jump into one of the diagram. So here you will find that VPC components. So these are the components which actually helps us to design our own virtual private cloud, where we have much control over our virtual private network. So here every component have their own specific roles within the virtual private cloud. So we will discuss all these components in details and understand that what is the significance of those components, why we are using it within VPC design. So let's understand the components one by one. So we will start with subnets. So as we already discussed that a virtual private cloud is a virtual network dedicated to your AWS account. So that means it is logically isolated from other virtual networks in the AWS cloud. So what is happening when we are creating a VPC? So we must have to specify a range of IP addresses, and these IP addresses is a range of IPv4 addresses in the form of CIDR block. CIDR block is not a new concept for those who belonging to networking background, but it is a new concept for those who are not belonging to networking background. So in short, I can tell that CIDR block is nothing but a classless inter-domain routing block. So what does it mean? So basically our virtual private cloud has many subnets, and each subnet has range of IP addresses. So who actually defines this range for subnet? So the answer is CIDR block. So to better understand it, let's jump into the diagram. So here you will find that the CIDR block for this VPC is 10.00.10.0.0/16. So that means our subnet will reside in these ranges. And further, if you will find here, there is two subnets, subnet 1 and subnet 2, and that has a range of IPs. From first subnet has 10.0.0.0/24, and second one subnet is, if you look into the third octet, then you will find that it is changed to 1. But overall it is belonging to this range only, 10.0.0.0/16. So here with the help of CIDR block, this VPC range is being defined. To understand it more better, we will zoom in to this diagram and look into another diagram which is a subset of this diagram. So let's jump into that diagram. So basically, if you look closely, you will find that a VPC spans all the availability zones in the region, and when you create a subnet, you specify the CIDR block. See here, this is CIDR block for the subnet, which is a subset of this CIDR block. See here, when we created this range is being used, and see here it is a subset. It is a subset of this CIDR block. So the range of subnet will fall within the CIDR block range. Some points to remember is that each subnet must reside entirely within one availability zone. That means the range of subnet belongs to the particular availability zone. So now we understand the CIDR block. Let's move further and discuss about the subnet. A subnet is a range of IP address in your VPC. If you look into the diagram, then you will find that it has, in the subnet 1, it has two instances, and that will be falling within the range which is specified within the subnet 1. It will not fall into the range which is defined within the subnet 2. So the EC2 instance which is belonging to subnet 2 will be within the range which is being specified within subnet 2 while creating the VPC. So here you must get some clarity that at a VPC level, the segregation happens with the CIDR block. Within the VPC, the segregation happens for the instances by the subnet. So each subnet has their own range, and the instances which is belonging to that particular subnet, it must be falling into that range which is being allocated for subnet. This concept is really very important. Because of that reason, I am emphasizing on this topic, so that once you understand this one, it is really easy to design the virtual private cloud. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate you in this session. See you in the next session where we will discuss the another VPC components. Till then, bye bye, take care.